Well, today's video is sponsored by B&M Fence out of Hawthorne, Florida. Thank you guys so much for your donation of labor and equipment to help me and Nancy rip out the old existing fence to get ready to put in the new fence. So thank you so much for that donation. You did a great job on our fence. I highly recommend you. So thank you for sponsoring this video. Well, last week we had another one of our severe Florida thunderstorms, and it destroyed a couple of large trees, one over here to my left and this one right over here to my right. They didn't knock them down, but they caused them to lean, and the unfortunate part about it is they were leaning toward our chicken building, our brand new chicken building. So I had to take them down. So let's stick around, and right after the break, and I'm going to tell you what the solution is for creating all this heat on the building. We'll be right back.
In this Backyard Chickens video, we'll cover 10-foot fence and 40-foot by 30-foot shade cloth in the chicken coop.
Well, welcome back. After I took down the two trees, the bad result was that they provided some excellent shade for the chicken building. If you could see the front end of the building, it still has some shade from the remaining trees, but where I had to remove the leaners out, it's got it sitting right in that direct sun, which is raising the temperature inside of our chicken building, you know, quite a bit. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to install a shade cloth similar to what we did over at the fish cleaning station, only on a much larger scale. So I'm going to put in a 90% shade cloth. I'm going to erect it using 4x4 stanchions, cross wire it, and hang the cloth over there, which should reduce the inside temperature by 20%. It's a 90% shade cloth, so that's a pretty dense shade cloth, which will really help. It'll be as good as the shade was coming from the trees. So I'm going to install that to try to bring that temperature down to keep our girls cool as a cucumber. So let's get started on getting this project up and running. Well, I got the fence ripped out around the chicken yard, and I saved all my fence posts because you never know. I'm going to have a million uses for these things, so I didn't get rid of them. I saved every one of them that were worth saving. So we got the chicken yard fence out. Next step is I got to go over there, and all those leaner trees that are damaged from Hurricane Irma that are leaning toward the where the new fence is going to go, I need to cut all those trees out, and there's some actually still inside the chicken yard as well. So any fence that looks threatening, any tree that looks threatening to the new fence that's coming in, I'm going to rip those out. So let me go get the chainsaw and let's have some fun on the chainsaw. is a tricky one. I'm not going to be able to make a clean drop, I'm afraid. It's going to probably get hung up in that other tree and be a leaner, which means I'm going to have to undercut that trunk all the way down to the ground. Going to be a tough one, but that's how it goes sometimes. So let's see if I can get it. Well, this one is going to probably take out this corner of this fence right here, but I've got to repair the fence anyway and replace some of those boards because some of those fence posts right there are rotten. So if it hits it, it hits it. If it don't, okay, whatever. But I got to get the tree down because it's leaning toward that, and I want to get it out now before I put the new fence in, and one day later this thing comes out and falls on it and tears it all up. So let's get her out. 21 trees cut out of the way for the fence, and we got them put into the burn pit. So it's time to get the burn pit lid off and get rid of that debris, and keep moving to the next step so we can get that fence in. So let's go. Fire in the hole. Had a real heavy rain last night, so it's still a little bit wet, but she's trying to get cooking. Give it a few more minutes. Yeah, sometimes it gets a little stubborn when it's been soaked in a 2-inch rain the night before, but it's trying to get going. There's some stuff down in the bottom that's getting some heat going down in the pile. The pile's pretty thick. That's another part of the problem. It can't get the oxygen down there that it needs to burn. So what I'm going to do is let this burn a little bit and get some coals going in there. Then I'll get my backpack blower and I'll go down and force some air in there to give it plenty of combustion air, and that should get it really riled up. So let's let it cook for a minute and I'll get the blower. Well, it wasn't exactly the most dazzling burn on a burn pit I've ever seen, but it's some soggy wood. It's tough to get going. Sometimes it can be stubborn when it's wet, but I got some of it going in the back end back there. It's trying to get going, so I'm gonna let it get good and hot in there, evaporate some of that moisture out of there, and I'll hit it with the blower a couple more times. So I'll be back in a few minutes after I get this thing dried out a little bit and get it roaring, and we'll take another look at it. Be back in about 15 minutes. finally trying to get going. So we're gonna let this burn down tonight, today, and all the way down till tonight. So it'll get rid of all this stuff, and then we'll be on to the next step, getting that fence put in for them chickens. So we'll be back soon. Well, we sure did take out a bunch of trees, didn't we? We got a lot of stumps to prove it, but we got the chicken yard is cleaned out of trees that were looked like impending doom for the new fence that we're going to put in. So they've been ripped out and burned. So I cleaned up the chicken yard. I've got it in good shape. I've raked it, graded it, got it, everything. It's just as pretty as it can be. Now I need to come in here and get this fence contractor in here to get this fence up for me, and we'll be off and running. So we'll be back shortly. I couldn't be happier. The B&M Fence Company guys just got through finishing up the chicken building fence. It is beautiful. I can't believe how great this came out. I'm really looking forward to putting me some girls in here, and I think they'll feel pretty good about it. It's a great fence. It's built to last. It'll be here the rest of my life. It's got two really good gates. There are 6 foot by 6 foot gates. I can drive my golf cart through there with no problem at all. So we got those put in. The first 6 foot of the fence is no climb, which is 2 by 4 wire with a 2 by 4 opening. The next 4 feet is goat wire, which is a 4 by 4. So we have a total of a 10-foot height of fence for our chickens. I don't think any chicken's gonna really want to fly over there. If they do, I'll clip one of their wings. But my granddaddy always said, if you want to have your chicken yard to keep the chickens from flying out, put in a 10-foot fence, and always remember that the only reason the chickens want to fly out of the chicken yard to begin with is because they ain't happy in the chicken yard. So try to make them happy and give them a comfortable space. Don't overcrowd them. Give them lots of good food, lots of good shade, lots of good water, and they shouldn't really want to get out. So we're going to try to take care of the girls. We got the 10-foot fence to keep them from flying out. Yes, we're still vulnerable to hawks and other prey from above. I can't afford to put a top over this big enclosure, but this will keep them out. Most of the danger here is 99% of our predator problems are at night. So I'm going to focus my concentration on securing the building itself. So when I put them inside the chicken building, they're pretty safe in there until I come and get them and let them out the next day. So the chicken fence is great. We're really happy about it. Thanks again, B&M Fence, for all you did and sponsoring this video. And next thing I got to do is get this shade cloth up, because remember, I had to cut down some humongous trees that were, a storm had pushed them toward the new chicken building. So I got them down, but it made a big spot of hot sun right on top of the building. So I got the pylons in place for the shade cloth. So let's get that shade cloth on there, and we'll be another step closer to getting them chickens. So let's get to it. Well, we've done an awful lot of work getting this chicken yard ready to go. We've got all the trees ripped out that needed to be ripped out and cleaned that all up. We've got the big old fence put in, which was a major milestone. And now today we're going to do the last portion of this project, is installing the shade cloth. Remember, we had the problem after I had to remove a couple of trees from a storm earlier last summer, and that created a lot of sunlight directly on the building, which jumped the temperature up. So we're going to put this the shade cloth over the top of the building so that it reduces some of that direct sunlight right on top of that building. So I wanted to show you a little the little plan of the day. I drew a little sketch up so I could stay on track of what I'm doing out there, and thought I'd just walk through the sketch with you real quick, and then we'll go out there and get to work. So let's check it out. Okay, here's the sketch. This is a plan that we're going to work to. It's going to take me a couple, 2 or 3 days to do it. just to get you oriented, this is north, south, east, west. So the sun comes up over here and sets over here in the west. So that that midday sun that's right here on top of the building, that's what the problem is. I had to rip out these two big trees earlier, last summer because of a thunderstorm, which made a big problem on the heat on the building. And I had another real big tree right here, that the canopy of this tree and the canopy of these trees actually touched. So when I had to rip this tree out, because it was actually leaning this way, and I had to take it out because if it fell, it'd fall on the building too. So I already had that one out, and then these were damaged. I had to take those. That's what created a problem. So anyway, I have this large opening here of direct sunlight down on the building, which causes the temperature in the building to get a little too hot for the chickens. So I'm going to install this shade cloth. Now, a couple weeks ago, we had this 10-foot fence put in. We have some really nice, big, heavy-duty fence posts all the way around the chicken yard. And I was going to use 4x4s to support this shade cloth, but I'm just going to tie right into these three fence posts right here. And we installed another one right here that I'm going to use to make the four corners up, and that's what I'm going to suspend the shade cloth with, and to hang it over the building. That way I'll put a 90% shade cloth over this building, which means it blocks 90% of the sun. So that's a pretty good dense shade cloth. The way I'm going to support it is I'm going to put some 9-gauge bracing wire diagonally across from there to there and from here to here, and I'll twist that wire up, which is a job in itself, but I'll have that wire twisted, which makes it double strong. And what that does is it's just a little bit below the shade cloth, so when it rains and that shade cloth gets wet and it wants to sag a little bit, it'll hit this diagonal, which keeps it from stretching out that shade cloth and giving it a shape that I don't want. So this is just to keep it from sagging in the rain. I'm going to run another wire around the perimeter here so I can tie off to the grommets on the shade cloth all the way around with some 12-gauge wire, just to keep it nice and stretched out. And right here where I put in this new piling, I came down here and I put in a 4x4. I've sunk it down in the ground 4 feet and concreted it in, and I'm going to run an eye bolt through there with a turnbuckle, and I'll put the bracing wire up to this post so that I have this support coming from this diagonal to this one and then down. That guy wire going down to the ground keeps me from pulling this loose stanchion, pulling it out of square or out of plumb, either in any direction. That way I've got it supported. These out here are pretty supported by the fence itself, so I don't need to put any guy wires out there, but this one I have to put a guy wire on it, and I'll cover the wire with some protective housing over it, so I don't forget and walk into it, or somebody walks through here and walks into that wire. So I'll put some safety protection over that thing so people will see it. Not that there's going to be a whole lot of people walking around in the chicken yard, but just in case, I don't want nobody to get hurt, so I'm going to do that. But anyway, this is a little detail I got. Here's the diagonals I was talking about. These diagonals right here, that's how they go. I'm going to drill through the top of the fence post and run the wire through it, and then I'll twist it to the other side, and then on the top, just above that, no greater than 3 inches, I want to put in another eye bolt and a turnbuckle, and attached to the shade cloth on the 4 corners, so I can stretch it with this turnbuckle to get the slack out in it. And then if it rains, that's what I was talking about, this will sag in the rain. It'll hit this cross bracing, diagonal cross bracing wire here to keep it from twisting a shape into it that I don't want. And if you want to buy any of this shade cloth, I bought mine at the Greenhouse Mega Store online. That's where I get all my shade cloth. That's where I got that. I'll let you take a look at it up close so you can see the density of it. But anyway, I think I got it all covered here. What we're in, the plan of the day is we just need to go out there and get to work on this thing, and let's get the thing cool for the building and reduce that temperature inside there as much as we possibly can. So let me get the shade cloth out and let's take a look at how that looks up close. Well, here's the shade cloth. I wanted to just pull it out. I don't want to pull the whole thing out because it's pretty big, but I just want to get a piece of it. I think you can get a good idea right there just looking at that of how dense that 90% is. Okay, let's put this up. That'll be the last thing I do is put that on. So I'm just going to leave it over here on the trailer till I get ready for it. So let's head on over to the chicken yard and get saddled up on this job because I got a lot to do. See you over at the chicken yard. Well, we finally finished the project of putting up a fence around our chicken building, as well as the new shade cloth over the building itself. Wow, what a project that's been.
Oh, yeah.
Tons of trees had to be removed, had to get the fence installed, and had to get this shade cloth put in, a 30 by 40 foot shade cloth. And if anybody ever tells you that putting up a 30 by 40 foot shade cloth is pretty easy, don't you believe them. It's a tough job, even especially for a couple of old people and a little puny dog. But we got the job done. It's in, it's doing its job. The chicken building is maintaining the outside air temperature of whatever it is outside. It's not allowing the building to bake the air and get it overheated, and you know, that's what we were trying to do. So yay.
Yep.
We're one step closer to getting a chicken. It's seems like a lot of steps that you have to take to get a chicken, don't it? We got there. We got this part done. We still got some more work to do, but we're getting closer every day. So I want to thank B&M Fence for sponsoring this video. You did a great job on the fence. We couldn't be more pleased. We're very happy with the fence and looking forward to enjoying it for many years. It should last me the rest of my life, you know. But anyway, we thank you for watching. If you want to be a part of our Homestead family and watch us continue to bring our homestead, our new homestead here in Florida to life, please subscribe and be a part of our Homestead family. So until me and Nancy and Bing Bing see you next time, always remember, by His hands we're fed. Give us, Lord, our daily bread. Amen.
Have a blessed day. Thank you for watching our videos. We love making them. If you like our videos, we ask you to partner with us in our mission by sharing our videos from YouTube and post from Facebook to all social medias. It really inspires and encourages us. Some great places to share is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please like if you like this video, subscribe, click the notification button so you never miss another video. Click below for products we used in the videos, and you could also partner with us without spending a penny. We welcome your encouraging comments, prayers, and questions. And thank you for watching and sharing our videos and posts. Have a blessed day.